My key won't turn in the lock. I jiggle it, twist harder, but the familiar click doesn't come. Standing on my childhood porch, suitcase at my feet, and 3 boxes stacked beside me, I frown at the stubborn door. Dad always kept this lock well-oiled. I try again, shoulder pressing against the door. Nothing. Weird. Mom knew I was coming home today. After 6 years away, college, grad school, internship, I'm finally back to claim my inheritance, to live in a house Dad left me when he died. The house where Mom and Greg and my stepbrother Josh have been living, keeping it up for me while I was gone. The door suddenly swings inward. Greg stands there, his 6-foot frame blocking the entrance. He's wearing a faded Patriots t-shirt and jeans, casual for a Wednesday afternoon. His eyes widen, genuine surprise flickering across his face before he masks it. "Rachel, we weren't expecting you until next week." His voice is pitched too high, smile too tight. "I told Mom I'd be here today. We spoke last week." I keep my tone light, but something cold settles in my stomach. Right. Memory's not what it used to be. He steps back, reluctantly allowing me space to enter.
"Come in."
I step into a house I don't recognize. The entryway that once held Dad's antique poultry now features a sleek console table I've never seen before. The warm gold walls are now stark white. Dad's collection of nautical prints gone. In their place hang modern abstract canvases in shades of gray and black. My suitcase slips from my fingers, thudding against the hardwood. "You've redecorated." The words feel inadequate in my mouth. Greg runs a hand through his thinning hair. "Deborah wanted to freshen things up a bit, you know how she is." I don't actually. My mother never cared about interior design when Dad was alive. "Where's Mom?" I ask, still frozen in the entryway.
"Shopping.
Should be back soon." Greg glances at my luggage. "You know, Rachel, you might want to look at apartments soon. The rental market here is pretty competitive these days." I stare at him. "Apartments?"
"Sure.
"Young professional like yourself, you'll want your own space." He gestures vaguely. "Independence and all that." The implication hits me like ice water. He doesn't expect me to stay. In my own house. Before I can respond, the front door opens. Mom bustles in with grocery bags, her blonde hair shorter than I remember, more highlighted. She stops when she sees me, eyes darting nervously between me and Greg. "Rachel, you're here already." She sets the bags down and gives me a quick hug that feels hollow. "We were just talking about you this morning, weren't we, Greg?" Greg nods, not meeting my eyes. "I was saying how Rachel might want to look at apartments." Mom's smile falters. "Well, no rush on that. You can stay in the guest room for now." "The guest room? Not my room." "Where are my things?" I ask. "From my bedroom?" Mom's gaze shifts away. "We box up some things in the attic. Josh needed more space as he got older, so we gave him your room. It made sense, since you were away at college." Something inside me cracks. "And Dad's study?" The nervous glance between them tells me everything before Mom speaks. "That's Josh's bedroom now. He's 15. He needed his privacy." "Your father's been gone 6 years, Rachel." 6 years. I was 18, standing next to his casket, when the lawyer handed me the deed to this house. Dad had left it to May, his only child, his daughter. The house he'd built with his own hands.
"Mom."
I say carefully. "Could I see Dad study Josh's room?" Mom's hands flutter nervously. "It's completely different now. Nothing like you remember."
"I still want to see it."
I walk through the transformed living room, past the kitchen with its new granite countertops, and down the hallway. The door to Dad's study stands closed. I take a breath and push it open. Basketball posters cover the walls. A twin bed with rumpled navy bedding sits where Dad's desk once stood. A gaming setup occupies the corner that held his bookshelves. The bay window where he used to read remains, but heavy blinds now block the garden view he loved. Nothing remains of him. Not a single trace. I stand motionless, absorbing the erasure of my father from his own home. The home he left me. I remember his funeral, the weight of the house deed in my hand. The responsibility it represented. "It's just for a while," Mom had said back then. "Just until you finish college. We'll keep up the house for you." I trusted her. Trusted them. Over the years, I'd noticed small changes during holiday visits. Family photos disappearing. Dad's books vanishing from shelves. Greg subtly asserting ownership and comments about our house and our renovations. But I dismissed my unease, focusing on studies, on building my future. I turn and find Mom watching me from the doorway, her hands twisting together. Rachel, we should talk. Yes, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. We should. In the kitchen, Mom sits across from me, eyes avoiding mine. Greg has conveniently disappeared. What's going on, I ask. Why does Greg think I should get an apartment instead of living in my house? Mom flinches at my house. Greg believes that is we thought. She takes a shaky breath. Greg thinks the house belongs to us now. The world stops. The house Dad left to me in his will? The one I have the deed to? He says after 6 years of us living here, paying utilities, making improvements, she trails off. You knew, I whisper, the betrayal crushing my chest. You knew it was still legally mine, and you let him believe what? That you could take it from me? I didn't know what to do, she admits, tears forming. Greg was so insistent and you were gone, building your life. It just seemed easier to lie. For 6 years? My voice rises despite my efforts to contain it. To erase Dad from his own home? To let me believe everything was fine while you plotted to take my inheritance? The tears spill down her cheeks.
I'm sorry, Rachel.
But sorry can't rebuild 6 years of deception. Sorry can't erase the choice she made every day to betray me, her own daughter. What would you do if you discovered your own family had been plotting to steal your inheritance for years? Would you forgive them, or would you fight back? My decision will change everything. The attic door creaks as I push it open. Dust motes dance in the beam of my flashlight, swirling through stale air that hasn't circulated in years. I step carefully across the unfinished plywood, testing each board before putting my full weight down. Dad? I whisper to the darkness, as if he might answer. My light catches on a stack of cardboard boxes pressed against the far wall. Each bears a label in Mom's neat handwriting. Thomas.
Books.
Thomas Navy. Thomas. Photos. A family archive tucked away like shameful secrets. I kneel beside the nearest box and lift the lid. Dad's leather-bound copy of Moby Dick sits on top, the one he read aloud to me every summer at the beach house. Beneath it, dozens more volumes, spines cracked from use, pages dog-eared at his favorite passages. I press the book to my chest, inhaling the faint scent of his piped tobacco that still clings to the pages. 3 boxes down, I find what I'm looking for, a battered metal filing cabinet drawer that used to sit in Dad's desk. I slide it open and rifle through the hanging folders until I find one marked house. Inside, the original deed with my name on it, property tax records, and a stack of mail addressed to me college alumni newsletters, credit card offers, photo registration confirmations spanning the last 6 years. All opened, all hidden away. Beneath these, a folder labeled Utilities catches my eye. I flip it open to find 6 years of electric bills, water bills, property tax statements, all in Greg's name. Methodical documentation establishing his residency, his claim to my home. My fingers tremble as I sort through the evidence of their deception. They'd been intercepting my mail, establishing Greg's residency, systematically erasing Dad, while setting up a legal claim to adverse possession. Oh my God, I breathe. The weight of the betrayal pressing against my ribs like a physical pain. A floorboard creaks behind me. What are you doing up here? Josh stands in the doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder, his lanky frame silhouetted against a hall light. I straighten, letters still clutched in my hand. Going through my father's things. His eyebrows pull together. Mom said not to mess with that stuff. I bet she did. I meet his gaze directly. Josh, did you know this house belongs to me legally? He shifts his weight, confusion flickering across his face. What are you talking about? This is our house. We've lived here since I was 9. Because my dad left it to me when he died, and I let Mom and Greg stay here while I was at college. I keep my voice calm despite the tremor in my hands. They were supposed to be taking care of it for me until I came back. Josh's face hardens. That's not true. Dad bought this house. Is that what he told you? We fixed it up. We've paid the bills for years. His voice cracks slightly. My room was my dad's study. I finished for him. The study in the house he built with his own hands that he left to his only daughter. Josh backs away, shaking his head. You're lying. His rejection stings more than I expected. During holiday visits, I'd helped him with math homework, brought him souvenirs from my travels, tried to be the big sister he never had. Now I'm a threat to everything he believes about his home. I have the deed, Josh, and his will. I hold up the papers. I'm not lying, they are. He turns and thunders down the stairs, calling for his father. Minutes later, I hear his bedroom door slam. Music blasting through the walls, angry, pulsing beats that vibrate through the floor. The universal language of teenage resentment. My phone vibrates as I descend the stairs. Megan's name flashes on the screen, me college roommate, now working at an accounting firm. Downtown. Rachel, I just got your text. Are you okay? I duck into what used to be the guest room, now my temporary space, and close the door. Not really. My voice drops to a whisper. The situation is worse than I thought. They've been plotting to take the house for years. Jesus. She pauses. Listen, my apartment has a spare bedroom. It's yours if you need it. Relief washes through me. Thanks, Meg. I might take you up on that while I sort this out. For how long? Until I get my house back. The determination in my voice surprises even me. After hanging up, I call my new boss at Mitchell Financial. I've only been there 3 days, but Douglas had been Dad's friend before he became my employer. Rachel, he answers warmly. Everything all right with the move-in? Actually, no. I explain the situation in clip professional terms. A long silence follows. Then, take whatever time you need this week. Work remotely when you can. Your father would want me to help. Another ally. I add his name to my growing list. It's called adverse possession. Greg explains the next evening, leaning back in what used to be Dad's chair at the dining table. We've maintained continuous residency for over 5 years, paid all the utilities, made improvements to the property. While hiding my mail and pretending everything was fine, my voice stays measured even as rage simmers beneath. That's mail fraud, Greg. A federal offense. He waves a dismissive hand. You're being dramatic. We were just keeping things organized until you settled down. By erasing my father from his own home? By moving your son into a study? I place phone on the table, recording app running. Tell me more about how that was for my benefit. Mom reaches across the table, tears brimming in her eyes. Rachel, please. We're family. Everything we've done has been to provide stability for all of us, including you. Family doesn't do this. I slide a business card across the table. I spoke with Kenneth Bryant today. Dad's old friend from law school, remember? He says adverse possession claims require good faith belief in ownership. Your deliberate deception proves bad faith. Greg's face flushes. You went behind our backs to a lawyer? I'm protecting what's mine. I meet his gaze steadily. Kenneth also mentioned that Shannon Miller next door has been concerned for years about how quickly you removed all traces of Dad after he died. She's happy to provide a statement. The mask slips. Greg's eyes narrow, his mouth twisting with contempt. You ungrateful little. Greg. My mother cuts him off, then turns to me, her voice softening to that pleading tone I've always hated. Rachel, honey, think about what you're doing. We're the only family you have left. Would your father want you to tear us apart like this? The emotional manipulation is so transparent it almost makes me laugh. Don't you dare invoke Dad's wishes when you've spent 6 years erasing him from this house. Josh appears in the doorway, eyes red-rimmed, arms crossed offensively over his chest. So, what happens to me? Do you even care? I meet his gaze. This isn't about you, Josh. It's my home too. His voice breaks. You show up after years of being gone, and suddenly we're supposed to just leave because of some paper? Not just some paper. The law. I stand gathering the documentation I've spread across the table. You have 1 week to find a new place. I've already verified the will with the county clerk and confirmed my legal standing. The locks change on Friday. You can't just throw us out, Mom cries. Where will we go? The question catches in my chest a barb of guilt amid the righteousness. But I think of Dad's books packed away in the attic, of the open mail, of 6 years of calculated deception. You've had 6 years to prepare for this day, Mom. I'm sure Greg has a plan. His silence tells me everything. I walk out, my heart hammering against my ribs, but my step steady. For the first time since coming home, I feel something like power returning. Dad always said that people who take what isn't theirs count on you being too polite to demand it back. I'm done being polite. Have you ever discovered someone close to you had been lying for years? How did you handle the betrayal? Rachel's about to show exactly how to take back your power. Greg's text comes at 7 a.m. Family meeting, kitchen, 8 p.m. Tonight. I place my phone face down on the hotel desk and continue typing up my eviction timeline. The audacity summoning me to a family meeting in my own house, the house where I'm currently not welcome to sleep. The locksmith arrives at 9 a.m.
Sharp.
All exterior doors, he confirms, equipment bags slung over his shoulder. Yes, I say. And I'll need 6 sets of keys. He raises an eyebrow but asks no questions. I like that. While he works, I drive to the county clerk's office with a folder of documents. My father's will, the property deed, my identification. The clerk, a woman with silver-streaked hair and efficient movements, verifies everything. Methodically, property taxes are current, she notes, looking up. But utility accounts are being transferred today. I finish. Each item on my list gets checked off with purpose. By afternoon, I'm meeting with my father's old lawyer, Derek, in his downtown office. He slides the eviction notices across his desk. This gives them exactly 1 week, he explains. The law allows for longer, but given the circumstances. I sign where indicated. 1 week is generous. Something unwinds in my chest with each signature. The tightness that's lived there since I tried my key in the lock loosens just a fraction. At 8 p.m., I walk into what used to be my kitchen. Greg sits at the head of the table in my father's place. Mom's eyes are already red-rimmed. Josh slouches against the counter, glaring. Sit down, Rachel, Greg says, using his boardroom voice. I remain standing. This won't take long. This, Mom sniffles, is about family. Is it? I place my leather portfolio on the table. Because family doesn't conspire to steal from each other. Josh pushes off from the counter. You're destroying everything. This is my home. No, Josh, it's not. I keep my voice level. And that's not your fault, but it is the reality. Greg leans forward, elbows on the table. Rachel, be reasonable. We've lived here for 6 years. We've put money into improvements under adverse possession, which requires the true owner to be unaware of the occupation. I cut him off, sliding the first document across the table. I visited. We exchanged emails about the house. I have proof I was aware of and permitted your residence here. Your adverse possession claim would never stand. His face flushes deep red. And here, I continue, placing down the second document, is the eviction notice. You have 1 week. Mom gasps. 1 week. Where are we supposed to go? That's not my concern. The words taste metallic. Necessary. You've had 6 years to prepare for this day. Greg stands abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. You ingrateful little. I wouldn't. I meet his gaze. The property is now under surveillance. Any damage, any items removed that aren't personal belongings, will result in additional legal action. The mask slips. In his eyes, I see the calculation, the fury of a man whose scheme is collapsing. You'll regret this, he hisses. I nod once.
Probably.
But I'll regret it in my house. The next morning, Allison from work arrives with coffee and determination. Where do we start? She asks, surveying the living room. I hadn't expected this. Colleagues I've known for barely 3 weeks, showing up with moving boxes and cleaning supplies. Behind Allison, Mark and Jen unload more supplies from Mark's truck. Dad's study, I answer. We start there. Josh's belongings have already been cleared out, relocated to the basement, I assume. The walls are bare except for tack marks or posters hung. The blinds still block my father's favorite garden view. As we work, Removing the blinds and cleaning years of teenage existence from the space, there's a knock at the door. Mr. Winters, our neighbor for 20 years, stands on the porch. In his weathered hands, he holds garden tools my father's. "Thought you might want these back," he says. "Tom asked me to keep an eye on them while they were gardening." The air quads are audible. Never saw much gardening happen, though. I run my fingers over the worn wooden handles. "Thank you. Your dad was a good man." Mr. Winters nods firmly. "Built this place, right? Made it to last." Something about his simple acknowledgement of my father, the first I've heard since returning, breaks through my carefully maintained composure. My eyes burn. "Would you like to come in for coffee?" I ask. His stories about Dad last through 2 cups. Each one rebuilds something inside me that's been crumbling for 6 years. By early evening, Greg returns. I'm in Dad's study, now hanging the nautical prints that Mr. Winters had also kept an eye on for me. "This is ridiculous," Greg announces from the doorway. "You can't just—" "I can, and I am." I tap the nail into place and hang the 3rd print to schooner under full sail. "I've spoken to my lawyer." His voice holds less conviction than this morning. I turn slowly.
Good.
"Then he'll have explained exactly how solid my position is and how your attempted adverse possession could be viewed as fraud." He flinches. "Where's Mom?" I ask. As if summoned, she appears behind him, eyes fixed on the study's transformation. "You found the pictures," she whispers. "Mr. Winters saved them, along with Dad's tools." I straighten a frame. "Why, Mom? Why did you let this happen?" She steps into the room, her fingers twisting together, that nervous habit I've seen my whole life. "It was easier. After Tom died, everything was so hard. Greg said he'd handle everything. And then one change led to another, and soon it seemed impossible to go back. The truth is so mundane, so human. No grand conspiracy, just weakness and convenience." Josh appears in the hallway, watching.
Silently.
"I'm sorry, Rachel," Mom says, and for the first time since I arrived, I believe her. "I just wanted things to be easy." "Well, they're not easy now," I reply. "1 week, Mom. Find a place." That night, after they've gone out to look at apartments, I assume I tour my reclaimed space. Dad's old bank or box of photos sits on the dining room table. One by one, I restore them to walls and shelves. Here's Dad teaching me to fish. Here we are building a bookshelf together, Mom and Dad on their 15th anniversary. I place the last photo, Dad, in this very study, surrounded by his books in the desk. It's almost midnight when I finally collapse onto my childhood bed, still covered in guest room linens but mine again. For the first time in 6 years, I sleep in my true home. But just as Rachel thought the battle was won, she discovered something that would make Greg's betrayal even more sinister. What hidden evidence would turn this family drama into an all-out war? The camera shutter clicks as I document the chipped baseboard in what used to be my father's study. Evidence. Each photograph catalogs what they've done to my home. "Don't miss the water damage in the corner," calls Elaine, my father's former colleague and now my lawyer. Her heels click against the hardwood as she marks items on her clipboard. "Document everything before they're out." "Already got it." I adjust the camera settings for better lighting. Through the viewfinder, I capture Josh's basketball posters. The adhesive that's damaged the carefully painted walls beneath. Dad would hate seeing his craftsmanship disrespected this way. The professional cleaners arrive at exactly 8 a.m. I scheduled them deliberately enough that Greg can't interfere, late enough that it's perfectly reasonable. The team leader, a woman with efficiently pulled back hair, hands me a detailed contract. "We'll have everything sanitized and restored within 48 hours, she says. "Just in time for your official move-in date." I sign the paperwork. Another calculated move. Every decision now carries equal weight, creates a paper trail. Elaine nods approvingly. "The formal communications went out yesterday," she says, her voice low. "The property boundaries are clearly established, and any further claims will be met with immediate legal action."
Good.
My voice sounds stronger than I feel. A crash from the kitchen interrupts us. I rush down the hallway to find Greg attempting to remove the high-end faucet he installed last year. "What are you doing?" I keep my voice level despite the fury boiling inside me. These fixtures are mine, he grunts, wrench still gripped in his hand. I paid for them. Those fixtures are attached to the property, Elaine says from behind me, her lawyer voice in full effect. Remove them, and it's damage to the premises. Greg's face flushes dark red. He drops the wrench with a clatter, stalking past us without a word. Later that afternoon, my phone pings with notifications. Social media alerts. Josh has posted a carefully angled selfie in his room. Caption reading, "Last night in my childhood home because my greedy stepsister is kicking us out. Real family doesn't do this to each other. I should feel hurt." Instead, I screenshot it for Elaine. Another notification appears, a message from Mrs. Keller, our next-door neighbor for 15 years. "Rachel, I just had a disturbing conversation with your stepfather. He came over asking if I would sign a statement about their improvements to the house. When I asked questions, his story kept changing. Just wanted you to know I'm on your side." My phone buzzes again. A community group text from my mother. "Please keep our family in your thoughts as we navigate an unexpected housing change. Some of you have asked how you can help us during this difficult time." I set my phone down, refusing to engage. The professional cleaner catches my eye, raising an eyebrow at the sound of my continued notifications. "Family drama." I explain simply. "We see it all the time," she replies, voice neutral, especially in inheritance situations. By evening, 3 of my colleagues from the financial firm arrive with takeout and determination. Marisol starts unboxing my kitchen supplies while David and Kim hang my father's nautical prints back in their rightful places. "My aunt went through something similar," says Marisol, carefully arranging glasses in the cabinet. "Her brother tried claiming their mother's house after caring for her. The courts shut that down fast. The neighbors keep stopping by." Kim adds, straightening a frame. "That older gentleman brought over what he said were your dad's garden tools, said he'd been safe keeping them. Mr. Reeves, Dad's best friend." My throat tightens. "Everyone's being incredibly supportive," David says, unpacking books. "You know what that means, right? They knew what was happening wasn't right." My phone rings, Josh's name flashing on the screen. I silence it. Not ready for that conversation yet. From the window, I spot Greg and my mother, arguing in their packed car. I can't hear the words, but their gestures tell enough. Her head is in her hands. His face is tight with fury. Even from this distance, I can see the cracks forming in their united front. The phone buzzes again. A text from Josh. "Did Dad really try to sell the house? Is that true?" Another message arrives before I can respond. This one from my mother. "I'm so sorry, Rachel. I never should have let this happen.
Can we talk?"
"Just us?" I set the phone down without replying. Through the front window, I watch their car finally pull away. Greg's angry profile visible through the windshield. My mother's silhouette slumped beside him. My house keys feel solid in my palm, new keys for new locks. When I discovered what Greg had been planning for my father's home, I knew there was no going back. The final confrontation would change everything. I closed the curtains and turned back to my friends, my new family, who continue restoring my father's memory to these walls. The doorbell rings at exactly 10:17 a.m. I've been expecting this. Through the window, I spot Greg's silver Audi in my driveway. Deborah slumped in the passenger seat, face angled away from the house. Josh stands awkwardly beside Greg on my porch, hands shoved deep in the pockets of his oversized hoodie, shoulders hunched. I take a steadying breath. My father's watch heavy on my wrist, and open the door. "Rachel." Greg forces a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "We've come to pick up a few things. I wasn't expecting you until this afternoon." I blocked the doorway, one hand still on the knob. "Plans changed." He gestures to the house behind me. "We won't take long. There are just some items that belong to us." I noticed the rental truck parked across the street. "Not just a few things then. What items specifically?" My voice stays calm, controlled. I've prepared for this moment for days. Greg's smile tightens. The dining room set for one, Deborah's grandmother's, and the antique mirror in the hallway. My father's mirror, the one he restored himself. I raise an eyebrow, and the dining set he built for his and Mom's 5th anniversary. Josh looks up sharply, confusion crossing his face. Deborah remembers it differently, Greg says, shifting his weight. I'm sure she does. I step back, allowing them entry. Come in, let's discuss this properly. They follow me to the living room, Josh trailing behind, eyes darting around the transformed space. I've spent the past week restoring my father's presence's photographs back on the walls, his books returned to shelves, his favorite chair angled toward the window, as it always was. I have something to show you, I say, retrieving a folder from the side table. Greg remains standing, arms crossed. We don't need paperwork, Rachel. We just need to get our things and go. Actually, you do need to see this. I extract a document, handing it to him. This is my father's will, specifying every item of significance in this house, including the dining set and hallway mirror, both specifically left to me. His eyes narrow as he scans the page. This doesn't, and this, I continue, extracting another document, is the appraisal of those items from when my father died. And this, another paper, is the insurance coverage specifying them as heirlooms protected under my policy. Josh steps closer, peering at the documents in Greg's hands. Dad? His voice carries an edge of uncertainty I've never heard before. Greg ignores him. This doesn't change anything. We've maintained these items for years. Maintain them while living rent-free in my home, I remind him. And there's something else you should know. I walk to the small security camera mounted in the corner of the living room. I've installed these throughout the house, including one in my father's study that recorded you last week, searching through the remaining documents in his desk. The color drains from Greg's face. I also have copies of the emails you sent to Riverdale Realty 3 months ago. I say, pulling out printed emails with his name clearly visible. The ones discussing selling this house, my house, after I agreed to the arrangement you were planning to propose. Josh's head snaps toward his father. You were going to sell the house? You said we were just moving to something smaller because, Josh, wait in the car. Greg's voice cuts like steel. Number. Josh steps away from him. You told me Rachel was being selfish, that she was trying to kick us out after we'd taken care of her house for years. That's what he needed you to believe, I tell Josh gently, just like he needed Mom to believe she was doing what was best for everyone. The front door opens and Deborah finally appears, eyes red-rimmed, arms wrapped around herself. She looks smaller somehow, diminished. Greg, please, let's just go, she says, not meeting my eyes. We're not leaving without what's ours. Greg insists, but his voice has lost its conviction. Nothing here is yours, I say firmly, and I think you need to leave.
Now.
You ungrateful little. He steps toward me, finger pointed. Don't. Deborah's hand catches his arm. She's right, it's over, Greg. His head whips toward her, disbelief etched across his face. What did you say? I said it's over. Her voice strengthens slightly. I never should have let this happen. Rachel's right about everything.
Mom.
I start, surprised by her intervention. Greg jerks away from her touch. After everything I've done for you, for that ungrateful son of yours? Josh flinches as if struck. For us? Deborah's laugh holds no humor. You were planning to sell Rachel's home out from under all of us. Where exactly did you think we'd go with that money, Greg? The silence that follows her question tells us everything. Get out, I say quietly, power settling into my bones. All of your belongings were moved to the garage yesterday. Take them and leave. Greg's face contorts with fury, befaced with 3 pairs of eyes, mind steady. Deborah's resigned, Josh's betrayed, he finds no leverage. This isn't over, he spits, storming toward the door.
It is for me, I reply.
Deborah lingers, tears streaming silently down her face. Rachel, I'm so sorry. For everything. I don't answer. 6 years of betrayal can't be erased with a single apology. She follows Greg out, shoulders bent under the weight of her choices. Josh stands frozen in the middle of my living room, caught between worlds. I didn't know, he says finally, about any of it. I believe you, I tell him, because I do. But that doesn't change what happens now. He nods, understanding but not accepting, and turns to go. At the doorway he pauses. Would it be okay if I texted you sometime? The question hangs between us, complicated and raw. Through the window, I watch Greg throwing boxes into the rental truck, Deborah standing helplessly beside the car. I don't know yet, I answer honestly. Josh nods again and walks out, the door closing softly behind him. I stand in the entryway of my father's house breathing, in the quiet that follows their departure. For the first time in 6 years, I feel the foundation solid beneath my feet. The walls truly mine. The inheritance my father left may not just the structure, but the strength to reclaim it settles around me like a protective embrace. I turn the deadbolt with a satisfying click. 2 months have passed, and I can finally breathe inside these walls again. The smell of lemon oil permeates the air as I polish the oak banister Dad crafted by hand 20 years ago. Natural light pours through uncovered windows, illuminating corners that Greg had kept perpetually shadowed. I've stripped away the cold white paint, restoring the warm gold that Dad always said makes a house feel like someone's waiting up for you. Every weekend since they left has been dedicated to resurrection, not renovation. There's a difference. One erases, one remembers. In Dad's Study Me Study, Noah's nautical prints hang exactly where they used to. The glass newly polished, but the frames bearing the small nick from when I threw a baseball indoors at age 7. His leather chair sits by the bay window, restitched where it had cracked from neglect in the attic. When I sit there, reading with evening light falling across the pages, I sometimes feel the weight of his hand on my shoulder. The doorbell chimes, pulling me from my thoughts. Just let yourself in, I call, arranging a final cluster of hydrangeas in the dining room centerpiece. Voices fill the entryway, May from the financial firm, Davis from next door, and Sarah, my college roommate who drove 2 hours to be here tonight. The same dining room where Greg once suggested I find an apartment now hums with genuine laughter. This place is transformed, May says, handing me a bottle of wine. It's like a completely different house from when I helped you move in. Same bones, different heart, I reply, leading them through to the dining room. We settle around the table beneath the watchful gaze of Dad's portrait that now hangs on the wall. His eyes seem to crinkle with approval as I pour wine into glasses that I found wrapped in newspaper in the attic, the same ones Mom and Dad received as wedding gifts. To new beginnings, Davis toasts, his glass catching the light. The conversation flows naturally, none of the strained politeness that characterized Greg's domain. I relax into my chair at the head of the table. Dad's old allow myself to enjoy the warmth of connection without obligation. Later, after everyone is gone, I sit on the porch swing with a cup of tea, watching fireflies rise from the garden I've coaxed back to life. Dad's rose bushes are blooming again after years of neglect. Like me, they just needed someone to care. My phone chimes with a text notification. Josh's name appears on the screen. Can we talk sometime? When you're ready, no pressure. I don't respond immediately.
Dr.
Levine, my therapist, has helped me understand that healing doesn't require immediate forgiveness, that boundaries aren't just walls but foundations. 3 unopened letters from Mom sit in my desk drawer. I'm not ready yet, but not ready isn't the same as never. The neighbor across the street waves as she walks her dog, the same woman who slipped me Dad's garden tools the day after Greg and Mom left, saying she'd held on to them for safekeeping all these years. Tomorrow, I'll help Cam from work navigate his inheritance dispute with his brother. His gratitude when I offered feels uncomfortable. I'm not an expert, just someone who learned boundaries the hard way. But perhaps that's enough. I trace my fingers along the porch railing Dad built, feeling every whirl and grain of the wood. The house settles around me with familiar creaks and sighs as twilight deepens. Through the window, I can see Dad's photograph watching over the empty dining room, the echo of laughter still hanging in the air. Some houses are just buildings. This one is my inheritance, not just of property, but of who I am.